Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind podcast. This is Niyi Adewale, and I am the host of the podcast, and I'm here to welcome you and say Happy New Year to our tribe. Looking forward to an awesome 2024, and if you haven't already, I hope that you are thinking through some goals for the new year. You've got to have some sort of direction. You've got to make sure that you put that down on paper so that you can look back at the end of this year and say, hey, I've achieved what I set out to achieve for 24. But in this first meeting of the year, it's going to be an open session, and we're just going to talk about what we have coming up this year, some of the goals that we've set for this year, and also some of the guests that we're going to be bringing on for the year. And so I'm going to kick it first to Liban. How you doing?
Doing quite well. To piggyback off your point, we did just spend kind of a good portion of today focusing on setting our goals. And one that I noticed you kind of had a
And Liban, I lost you for a second.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I was going to say, I noticed you also had a kind of spread out category list of kind of the different kinds of goals in different parts of your life. Do you typically, was that something you thought about, or was that more so just it kind of happened to fall into place naturally? Or did you kind of sit down and say, I want to focus on all aspects of my life, not just this one thing?
Man, and I love this question when it comes to goal setting. It's your life gets more robust as you continue on, right? Before I had a wife, that relationship piece was fully transparently not a portion of it, right? Or before I had a serious, girlfriend, fiance, then wife, right? It wasn't a portion of it that was actually like, hey, I want to spend this much time with my partner, and I want to go on these walks and things of that nature. But once you do have one, if you're not intentional about what you're doing here, you can quickly start to grow apart, right? Same thing with business partners and things of that nature. And so, long story short, it's evolved. My goals used to be something as simple as, hey, I want to save X amount this year. I want to achieve X amount from an income standpoint, and I want to get to the gym X amount of days, right? Now I have it broken out into multiple areas. One is spiritually, right? And I try to set goals around actions. So it's not, hey, I want to be more spiritual, because what does that mean? That's kind of hard to quantify.
Yeah.
But hey, every time that I'm in, Atlanta, I want to go to church, our main church that we go to. And I want to make sure that I start to serve in church. And so like late last year, what I did was I signed up to help in the shuttle ministry. And so if you're ever at Victory Midtown, you may see me actually driving the shuttle sometimes to kind of get people around. So I was actually doing that this past weekend. But like that type of stuff, to be intentional about it. And then when you talk about like some of the fitness goals, yes, I want to hit X amount of pounds and be X amount of body fat. But what does that mean? It's about your eating and how you work out. And so I set a couple goals. One, I don't want to eat past 8 p.m., right? Because then you're going to sleep and then it's kind of digesting all night. It's not good for you. And then I want to do intermittent fasting. So I'm only eating during a certain time period, and then it digests and you're able to get that out. So that's a piece. But then for a workout perspective, I want to work out 5 days a week, because I know if I do that and then I do the eating stuff, I'm going to hit the goals. And so it kind of evolved over time, long story short. And now it's set in all these different categories, whether it be business, whether it be personal, relationships, spiritual, financially. I just list them all out, and then I keep a printed copy on my desk so I can see how I'm doing throughout the year.
No,
And Liban, with you, I'm interested in getting your perspective as someone who routinely kept it in your head in the past. I know that you did the exercise of actually writing down goals. How have you done in the past with the goals, and what do you think that writing it down is going to bring to the table?
So I've actually never sat down and really written out goals, what I want to do, et cetera, in the way I planned out. This is the first time I really planned out extensively. And to your point, I think one thing about goal setting that I learned is most important is not just having the goal. It's very important to be actionable with the goal. So if you're saying, hey, I want to learn, like for instance, me, one of the things I have hobby wise is I wanted to choose a hobby, and I was like, okay, let's pick an instrument because I feel like we can learn an instrument pretty decently if we spend amount of time. So I chose guitar. So I was like, okay, it's not just enough to just have it. I gotta put it somewhere where I can see it. It's not just enough to see it. I gotta block out time to do it. So I was like, okay, I can do it before I go to sleep or when I'm waking up because it's right there next to my bed. So I basically did that. And the amount of progress you can make, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 20-hour rule, but
No.
so it's essentially if you spend 20 hours on any skill, you become pretty intermediate at it. And so I was very, I guess, disciplined in just the time that I set, right? And within like, I would say 3 to 2 hours, 3 hours, I was very much able to strum out something that sounded like a song. It wasn't just gibberish. It was like, oh, this is legible. We understand what he's saying here. And so that's, I think, just showing if you're consistent about it and you set aside, because I could have just easily laissez-fairely picked it up, but I think setting the time to do it is most important. So we did that with the rest of them. So this is the first time I've done it with everything, to where now I really planned a day on, okay, of course there's going to be craziness, but all throughout that, if I'm just having free time, let's be productive about it.
I love it. I love it. And to that point, I got two things on that. One, now I understand when I was calling to negotiate that deal why you weren't answering the phone. You're too busy playing the guitar. So we got to figure that piece out. But we'll figure it out later. But but on a side note, I haven't heard of the 20-hour rule, right? But I have heard of the 10,000-hour rule, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
you've probably heard of it, right, as well. And so intermediate's cool, but we're shooting for mastery. And so 10,000 hours in anything, you become a master. That's why when you see like in karate and things of that nature, which I never took karate, but I get it. Black belts are literally the same as white belts. They've just practiced the same move 10,000 times. And so now they can hit it in their sleep, right? And so the same thing when it comes to even like your goals and your career. I would just say a word of advice for everybody out there. Just give yourself some grace, right? Set goals for this year, but then also, I didn't even mention this before, I also set long term goals for 5 years, 3 years from now, so that you know where you're going to go, right? Like, hey, I'm setting goals for this year because of where we want to be 5 years from now, right? And kind of what we want to accomplish. And give yourself grace to make mistakes and get better along the way. There's going to be opportunities that pop up that you could not even forecast or plan out. And so you do want to set goals and kind of have a general plan, but you've got to give yourself grace to take amazing opportunities.
100%. I agree. I agree.
But Liban, what else is top of mind as we kick off this new year, man, with the first portion? I know I prefaced before, I'm going to give an update on some of the guests that we're going to be bringing on this year and some of the goals that we have even for the mastermind group. But what's top of mind for you right now?
Really, I want to just I think we picked up a lot of really good habits last year. Keep doing those. Overall, to your point, I think me in my position, because of my age, I like to use that as leverage. So just continuously use that, learn as much as I can, keep bothering as many smart people as I can, as I have. So I think that so far, trusting the process really is what I say is the most important thing for me right now, and that's what I got to practice this year.
Come on now. Agreed, agreed. And shifting gears a little bit. So for 2024, I know we stopped a little bit toward the end of the year, right? We had a little bit of a lag, but what we're going to be doing here in 2024 is we're going to have at least 20 guests coming on to the show with us. And we've already got a couple lined up. We've got some developers around the area. We've got some flippers. We've got some other investors from around the country that are going to be joining just so we can hear their story and understand how we can get started and continue growing our portfolio. Plus, we're going to be reaching out to some of our clients that have grown quickly to see if they can join as well and kind of share their story. And then we're going to be trying to expand the group. We want to make sure that this is bringing value to everybody and that you're able to tap into even the Facebook group, right? And ask questions and learn from each other in a safe space and tap into even the different social medias that we have and be able to engage with each other so that we can all sharpen each other's iron, right? Iron sharpens iron and get better and achieve our financial freedom goals. And so I'm excited for 24. I think last year was a year of consistently putting out and having our weekly meetings. And this year is going to be taking it to a next level to ensure that we're giving a lot of value to you and those that continue to join on a weekly basis. But I'm excited. Oh, and one other piece. You're also going to see a lot more of Lee, right, as the co-host here. And so when we're interviewing individuals, more times than not, it's going to be both of us kind of handling that piece. And Lee is going to be bringing on some individuals within his network as well that we can interview too. So super excited. And Desmond, we're going to get that to you here shortly.
But I guess since it's the new year and we have a lot more
Mm-hmm.
members now, to kind of, I guess, refresh, how did this kind of come together? This whole meeting, the plan for the meeting, the timing, everything.
Yes. Okay. So, and this is a good recap, right? So I like this. So,
Mhm.
a lot of people know that I was in medical device sales prior to moving into full time real estate. And when I was doing that, this was the only time I could meet. You might wonder, like, hey, why do we meet at 7 p.m. on a
At 7
Wednesday?
p.m. on
Well, and can you hear me?
hmm Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And so the reasoning for that is that was the only time that I had available, right? When I wasn't working the W 2 and I could actually sneak away and put um, and kind of focus on this piece. And so during the day, I'd be so busy doing the W 2 as well as doing some real estate on the side that I didn't actually have time to hop on the phone for 30 minutes or an hour. Right. And so I set aside this time and started just a weekly meeting where I'd sort of like tell people, like, hey, join this and we can talk as long as you want on whatever topic that you want and really give you full answers as opposed to the quick ones I give during the week because I just know, like, hey, no, this is how it goes. Now we can kind of elaborate. And then it evolved into something where we started to post this and turned it into a podcast so that those that are not able to join every week can still get that information, feel like they're a part of this community, and kind of grow it from there. So that's kind of the origin story. It was started off as a mastermind that was a necessity, so I could actually follow up on conversations during the week, and it turned into something that now we're bringing on other guests and kind of learning, and I'm learning along with you as well.
No, that's awesome.
And Liban, I'd love if you were to just at least a high level. We're going to dig into this a bit later, maybe toward the end of the year. But at a high level, how did we meet? Right? It's pretty incredible. I love your story around tenacity and going after something. Right? It reminds me a lot of kind of David Green's team and how he's built that with individuals and things of that nature. But do you mind sharing just a high level of even how we met?
Yeah, of course. So I was working at a previous real estate company, um, and then it was very different. It wasn't like how it is here, where we're working with clients. It was more so I'm working exclusively on the wholesale side, just selling homes on behalf of a company. And so I wanted to do something different because that niche, you don't really learn much, and it's very easy to get bogged down. You don't really learn how to invest in it yourself. You don't learn. It's essentially more so like a sales job than it is more so real estate. And so I decided, hey, let's see what we can do, switch. And I went on Bigger Pockets because I wanted to work with an investor friendly realtor because I figured who better to teach than someone who helps investors. So from that point on, went through a couple of people and I saw he actually owned stuff. He was relatively, I guess, I didn't see a large team because I didn't want to join just a huge team. And so literally saw that he had his phone number and was like, hey, reach out to me. Here's my number. Text me. Texted. It like gave me the auto message, book a time. I booked a time. And then literally we just met 15 minutes on Zoom. He asked me, who are you? I gave my pitch. And now a year later, here we are. Yeah.
Hey, come on now. thriving a year later, and
Thriving.
and the
Yep.
team's grown significantly, and a lot of that is due to you, Levon, and the success that you've had, kind of going through the whole process and building this thing alongside me on the way, because it was definitely not as organized as it is right now. We'll just put it like that, right?
Yeah.
So you definitely went through some of the pains of trying to figure out how we could actually build this thing, but it's incredible what you can do in a year. And I just want those that are listening in the audience to take from that, you got to go after what you want. Like if there's an opportunity or a deal or something that you're looking for, the time is now. It's not tomorrow, right? Tomorrow never comes. It's not yesterday because that's already gone, but it's today. And so don't be afraid to reach out, to connect, and to go after what you're looking for, because it can lead to amazing opportunities. And I have countless stories of doing the same, right? When I was a rep at Baxter, I was a new, like, quote unquote green rep, and the Boston position opened up. And this is one that heard that it was revered and things of that nature. And, at the time, you may have questioned, hey, would I even get considered for this role, right? Having been at the company only less than 3 years. But it's one where I reached out to all the individuals I know, as well as that manager, and just started peppering. Hey, da 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 da. What if I did this? And here's what I've done. And let me put everything together. And long story short, that being able to win that position and then win a couple of deals up there changed my life. Same thing from a real estate perspective, right? I was actually, it's funny enough. So the first mentor that I had when I became a realtor down here, I actually sought out that mentor because I was in like a training course or like auditorium in that virtual world with EXP. And the person at the front was killing it. Like the training was amazing. I'm taking down notes. Can it take it down fast enough? And so after the call, I'm like, hold up, man, I need to reach out. So I reached out, ended up getting on the line with her and said, hey, could you please like help mentor me? Because I'm struggling with like some of these documents. I don't know exactly, like I get the general idea and how to negotiate, but the documents and things of that nature and like legally, I need some help. And so she became my mentor, right? My official mentor. And so you do need to get over that fear, we'll call it, and just reach out when you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, whether that be a deal or an individual. Just do it. Worst they can say is no.
No, I
Anything
agree 100%.
from
I agree 100%.
true. Anything from those on the line? Any questions? Any comments? Anything that's top of mind for you heading in or kicking off the new year? Please feel free to drop it in the chat and or join via the live call-in. Keep in mind, if you're joining via the live call-in, you've got to do it from a computer. It will not allow you to do it from a phone. Fair enough. Happy New Year. AJ, Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year. What I guess is your biggest surprise of the year? That's a good question.
Biggest surprise of the year. So, or you mean last year or of this year so far?
Of the year calendar past, and then we can
Man.
go. Yeah.
So biggest surprise last year, honestly, it revolves around the team, man. Like the team piece was one where it wasn't in the, it's one of those things where it's not a goal that you had, quote unquote, kind of what we talked about before, but you leave room for it, right? Like, okay, what could it look like, right? And to see it go from a team of two, right, you and me, to a team of three, to now a team of 8 is incredible. And what I love the most is we actually just posted a picture on the Akaba Home Instagram, right? And you can see the full team kind of at the mansion, celebrating heading into 2024. And what I love the most is that everybody's smiling in the pic that we posted, but it's genuinely fun to be around the group. Like legit, I was laughing and dying and like my ribs were hurting while we were all sitting around the table waiting for pictures to get taken and individuals and things of that nature. And so I just love the chemistry. It makes this really fun. Because you do go through some things, right? There's some realtors that you got to deal with that have egos and things of that nature and all that stuff.
Not always sunny in Philadelphia.
and emotions and whatnot. It's definitely not always sunny, but it's worth it and it's fun when you have a group of individuals that are striving alongside you. I'm going to flip that question back on you, though. What is a major thing or what was a big surprise for 2023 for you?
I didn't expect to get to the position I'm at as quickly as I did. I guess the overall speed at which, because I was able to quit my job quick. That's the thing. Because I started January I was working, and then by March I was not. April I would say is when fully cut. Yeah, so I didn't even see. It wasn't even half the year. So that I guess was my biggest surprise. Pleasant surprise. Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Hey, we are fully into it now,
Yeah.
and it's already been a bit of a. I don't want to say surprise because you set this stuff up before, but I think 2024 is going to be an amazing year, right, for our team and for our clients, right? Because when you look at some of the different investment opportunities that are coming to market, as well as the interest rates. Finally, after a year of increase, steadily staying the same and or declining a little bit. I mean, we just did a closing yesterday as well as today on two different products, right? One was the 5% down multifamily loan, which is a new thing that came into effect in November of last year. So we're able to successfully get one through there, really two now through there, and the other, a DSCR loan with interest rate that's the lowest that I've seen in a long, long time. And so there's going to be plenty of opportunities for our clients to get out there and make something happen. And then also, especially right in this time period before it gets to March, there's still opportunities to negotiate for deals that have been sitting kind of stale on the market. And so, for example, I think Liban, we were talking about it earlier today, or you heard some of the conversations, right? Um, Working through a sub two deal, right? I think we've talked about that before, but that's one where we're actively working to get that paperwork signed. We had to work through a couple hiccups this week, but we're back on track to get that thing signed and lock that up. And that would not be possible if we were still in, the 2020, 2021 market. So super excited for that, looking forward. What is something that you're excited for in 2024?
One, I'm excited to see, I guess more so personal. I'm excited to see my mom. And then, because Egypt, I get to go to Egypt. So that's a double. So I'm excited about that one. And then more so work wise, I'm really excited because this is the first time it's really just full go. And I'm really curious just to see, because I'm personally, I want to do 10 because I hit 7 this year, right? So if I hit 7, I can probably will hit 10. And so I think that's very achievable if I just, to your point, have the consistency. And
Agreed.
that's just what it comes down to.
Literally. Agreed. Consistent actions and setting those goals to get those consistent actions.
Yep.
But no, I am looking forward to it. And anybody, any questions on the chat, any comments, or anything that's top of mind for this first meeting of the year? Okay, I'm going to kick it to you one last time, Liban. Anything that's top of mind or a topic or things that you want to discuss on this first call? All right, man. Hey, updates on the STR ordinance. That's a good one. And here goes AJ. So no updates on the STR ordinance. It still has not gone into effect. And this is on my docket to review again this month. The past 2 months have been a little bit crazy, right? But this month it's on my docket to review that again. But as far as I know, nothing's changed from an ordinance standpoint in Fulton County. And I think I talked about it before, but Cobb County is super easy, by the way. So if you're ever looking at Marietta, things of that nature, it's not hard at all. We've gotten a couple licenses. There's not all that, talk of occupying or anything like that. You just pay like a $55 check, fill out some documentation, send some letters, and you're good to go. AJ, how you doing, man?
What's going on, fellas? I'm good. How you doing?
Super good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys, man. Love you guys. Just seeing you guys rock out, and I follow you guys on Instagram and all of that good stuff. So love to see happy smiling faces, and I know you guys are going to get after it this year. So definitely going to be an exciting year for all of us, I think.
Thank you, man. Hey, we're just going to try to keep up with you, all right? Because I know you already got your eyes on the next prize, all right? It's going to be good.
Yeah, I took, like I said, I think last time I had joined, I wanted to spend, the last kind of like month and a half or so, like 6 weeks, just really relaxing and spending time with my wife. We sat back and watched a lot of movies. We actually watched Hunger Games, like the entire series, because I never watched it before. So I just cherished that time because it's just a time for me to reset and not really think about all of the 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 busyness that goes on throughout the year. And then that allows me to kind of get a clear mental for the upcoming year, which is today now, and just be able to attack it. So I think I'm ready for it. I don't think I'm ready. I know I'm ready for it.
Hey,
Come on now.
there you go.
Come on now.
There you go.
And to that point, do you do, because we talked a little bit about it late last year, but do you actually write down your goals from a family standpoint as well as personally and post it somewhere?
Yeah, for sure. So at the end of every year, my wife and we go through kind of like a couple's goal planning, and we categorize different things that we want to strive for throughout the year, whether it be family wise, vacation wise, financial. There's a few different categories that we go over, but we kind of just run through a list of them. And I think that's extremely important, especially, you know, when you are in a committed relationship. I'm a husband, she's a wife, and we have that union. And, I look at it as like a business. Of course, we love each other and everything, but we have to, um, you know, act as if we're a actual business, and do the proper planning together, because I feel like if you don't actually do that and you just kind of say, oh, I want to do this, or you know just kind of put it out there without actually planning for it, you don't really get anywhere. So we spent some time in December, just a couple of weeks ago, actually just jotting some things down, getting our minds prepared, and talking about like what we want to actually go after in 2024. So for sure, every year we try to make it a thing, and we actually try to follow up on it throughout the year too.
Nice, nice. No, I love it. I love it. And it's one of those things where if you prepare, right, and you kind of set those intentions, you're more than likely going to achieve that. And the success rate just goes up for it. And so I'm always looking for like tips and tricks on kind of what to do. And you're right, it is, you do got to systematize it because it's very easy to just become basically roommates, right? To where it's like, hey, I'm not, because you get, I don't know about you, but I can get super focused on like, hey, I want to grow this thing and kind of go to the moon, and then start to forget like other pieces. And
Mhm.
so that's actually, I build goals in for that. Like, hey, that walk after work, right? That's huge because now we can talk, kind of catch up on the day. And we're walking around, get some exercise. It's good, right? And then also, I have a thing on my calendar for once a month. And she has one on her calendar as well. At least once every 2 weeks, we're doing some sort of date night activity, right? So I'm responsible for once a month, and then there's other things that'll pop up. She's responsible to pick up one for once a month, and so I've got mine for January, right? I've already got one in mind for February, and I have to like put it down. It's not spontaneous, right? It definitely, you still want to create some spontaneity with it, but I got to document some things. Otherwise it's going to slip, right? In my mind.
Can I ask what the first date is for 2024?
Yes. And this one is, so I already got made fun of by Justin, the photographer, today on that stuff. But long story short, so my wife's birthday is next week, um, and she wants to get to a beach, right? She loves doing beaches, things of that nature. So I can't even well, I can mention it on here because she's not going to see this. And she can't hear me. But we're
Don't say
going to
nothing to get
Hawaii.
yourself in trouble, man.
We're going to Hawaii tomorrow, right? Which is going to be amazing for 6 days. She thinks that we're going to Florida. Right? I told her, hey, we're taking a flight, but it's going to be like, just a few hours. But we're going to Hawaii. It's going to be amazing. So we'll be there for 6 days, hang out on the beach, beautiful weather, go surfing, things of that nature. So that'll be the birthday gift, right? And then next month it's going to be a lot more low key. I'm thinking like a road trip to Louisville to go see the storage units, but to also spend some time and kind of hang out there as well. But to see the storage units and make sure those are good and
I
go
like
from
that.
there.
You kind of mix the romance with the business, kind of knocking out two birds in one stone. So smart,
Come
man.
on now, hey, you gotta find a way. And Levi, welcome back, man.
Hello. The storm is really trying us today, it seems.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, AJ, anything top of mind as we get into the new year?
Nothing in particular, honestly. With the new year just coming about, I know a lot of the content creators and bigger pockets are gonna roll out their new plans for talking about what you can invest in and how the market is changing and things of that nature. Of course, it's to attract new viewers, but um, I've always been tuning in to Bigger Pockets and kind of those channels on YouTube, things and whatnot. So I'm kind of just right now I'm looking to see where things are planning to shift in terms of the real estate market. I know you kind of briefly talked about the interest rates being at a hold. The Fed, I think they met more recently, and they kind of talked about they're going to slow up a little bit on the interest rate hikes. So right now, I'm kind of just keeping my ears open, listening to a lot of different strategies, but I want to be able to attack when the time is right. And just in the meantime, gather as much information as I can, so that I don't have to spend time getting ready. And when that opportunity comes, whenever it presents itself, I can, get out on the playing field and play a couple cards.
Yeah, no, honestly, I love that. And it's one where you don't have to always be in motion to be doing something, right? Like you could be learning, like you said, and also playing defense. Like
Hmm.
the first quarter of this year, one of my focuses, along with doing that sub two deal, is defense, right? I want to see, hey, how much can I compile? Can I knock out some of like the cards used for different B&Bs and things of that nature? Can I start to just shore up everything to where when opportunities pop up later this year, I'm ready to rock? So I think we're in the same boat from that standpoint.
Nice. Yeah, defense is definitely one you can always work on, especially being a short term rental host. There's a laundry list of items that always can be done and tweaked to improve the business, to make sure you have the proper things in place. I've been a short term rental host now for about 6 months, and I think every month is just a learning experience, and it's a headache when you have to deal with it. But at the same time, I feel like I'm just building up my domain knowledge, and over time, as time goes on, I would feel a lot stronger, and I'll be more decisive in decision making when the problems do arise, because they're gonna arise, right? Real estate is always different kinds of problems. I think the best way to kind of work on defense, especially in real estate, is just, you know, not trying to prevent issues. They're going to come about, but just practice risk mitigation in the best way possible, so that when those problems do happen, you're not, sweating it out too much. You kind of just like, okay, hey, I have a process for this. This is how you handle it, and then move accordingly.
That's
If
very
that
nice.
makes sense.
No, 100%. 100%. I wanted to ask you, AJ, because I asked Nini
Mhm.
this question. What has been your favorite thing that has happened in 2020 or
You kind of cut
unexpected?
out.
I
Did
said,
you hear him?
It cut out at the end. Liban, can you say that again?
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you. Yep.
Yeah. I said, what was your kind of unexpected thing that happened in 2023 that you kind of were like, oh my God, I'm excited. I'm glad this thing happened. Uh,
Um, I would probably say um, getting my second home.
mm,
Um, it wasn't really a surprise because I had planned for it. Of course, like that kind of thing doesn't just happen out of the blue. So I knew it was going to happen, but um, I think especially early on, when I still feel like I have a lot of knowledge with real estate, but I still feel like have so much more to know of and grow. And I feel like, anytime you get those first couple of deals, no matter how long you plan for them, there's always going to be that kind of excitement, or just like, wow, like this really happened. And I think the second deal is like really a significant one, because the first one you go through so much to do and get, but then now it's all about scale after that first one. So for my wife and I to be able to come together, save our funds, do everything according to process, not only once but a second time, I think that was just a testament to our dedication and commitment to a process. And that was just like really exciting for us. So definitely getting to the second home was a huge accomplishment, but I'm always looking forward to the next thing. So I'll be excited to see what we can accomplish in 2024. But definitely last year was, I would probably say, getting that second deal.
Yeah, and I think that in the manner that you did it was even better, right? To just go from, hey, personal residence to now like 2 units essentially. That's pretty incredible, and that's honestly one of the best ways to do it because that officially puts you as full on investor. I think the first house, it's kind of dipping your toe in. Hey, do we like this thing? Right? I did the same. Everybody's got to get that first one, but once you get the second one and you're able to take some of those learnings from the first one, carry it over, and then carry the learnings from the second one to the next one, now you're building a portfolio and you are a full on investor, which is awesome.
I think kind of what is going to be a really tough one this year because my wife and I were talking about whether or not we want to go in and buy another property or focus in on paying down debt. Because I think it may be even difficult, and you can kind of speak to this if you felt the same, because I know you have a couple properties under your belt. But okay, the first one is difficult because you have to go over the fear of getting the first one and out the way. The second one, I feel like it's not too bad, but the third one I think kind of gets a bit more difficult just because you know you're building so much more debt under your portfolio, and you want to figure out a way to kind of um, leverage it, maintain it, or however you want to describe it. But it gets a bit tougher because you may start to fall out of the realm of being able to finance a home under your personal name, and you may fall into different kind of challenges. So that's kind of something I'm a bit weary of, but I want to take it on like full force and figure out exactly what we want to do, but always be adjustable. So I would definitely be interested to kind of see what you kind of think about that need, and if you've kind of faced some of the same challenges, especially early out, starting off, when you're buying your second, third, fourth, or fifth property.
Absolutely. I think that's a fair question, and it's definitely one that you got to keep an eye on. And to even rephrase it, I mean, you're talking about the debt to income, right? Like they're going to check a debt to income ratio, and I believe they want to see you at least 49% or less, something around that nature, right? And the lenders they're changing and adjusting that all the time because they want to make sure, like, hey, push comes to shove, you can pay for this mortgage if it's not going to pay for itself. Now, the thing that does help you that you may not calculate, and I didn't calculate this early on, and then the lenders kind of informed me of this, but the homes that you're not living in, well, okay, I'm gonna give you two things. I'm gonna give you the past, and then I'll give you the new lending rules that recently came out, which is awesome. So in the past, when I was buying all these properties, the home that you're living in, if you're doing a house hack, you can't count that income, right? And so that full mortgage is on your debt to income. But any homes that you bought previous that you're not living in anymore, they count the income from that against the mortgage. And so essentially, if your mortgage is 2,000 and you're making 2,500 a month on that property, you actually have a debt to income increase of $500 per month, right? So that's how you're able to keep qualifying for more. They're still going to cap you out at 10, but that's how you're able to keep qualifying for more. And then for your personal house, a new change, and don't quote me on this because I haven't been through it with a client or personally yet to verify it because it just came about this year. But from what they say, if you have an ADU or an in-law suite or another unit on your property, they will start to count that income against your debt to income. So it can lower like your monthly even when you're applying for the next property. And so that's one I'm excited about because in the past that wasn't something that was there. Like my current mortgage was fully hitting on my debt to income and kind of other ones as well. But that's one way to get around it.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I
Yeah,
completely
that
forgot about that. It's almost like a wash. And if my property is going to continue to do as well as it has been so far, I mean, I'm cash flowing. So that's a great point. I'm glad you actually brought that up.
so so I'm understanding correctly. In his case, that means that essentially the bank is looking at him like you actually have an additional $300 in income. You don't have debt
Correct. On that property, on
on
that
that
other property that's
property.
full rental. On your personal property, as of last year, the whole mortgage is going to count against you. But it's fine because you got to pay for somewhere to live anyway, right? But that's how you're able to keep buying more because otherwise everybody'd be capped out, right? There's there's only so many mortgages that you could take with a W-2, but the fact that they allow you to use the income from it is awesome. And then the end all be all is what you report on your taxes. So for this year is going to be fine, right? To get that next one, things of that nature. But then you've got to be intentional about your taxes, right? So some people are like, hey, I want to take every single write off and things of that nature. But then what it could look like is, hey, I haven't made any money on this property. And now it's going to count against your debt to income. Does that make sense? Right? It's like, hey, there's no money getting made in this property. It sounds great, but now does that mean that you're paying the debt to? Okay, so how are we going to qualify you for another one if we're not making money on this one? So it's a delicate balance. It all goes together. But if you're in a build phase, I'd highly recommend getting with an investor-friendly CPA, right, and talking through this stuff. Like, for example, last year was my first year having significant income on my 1099, right? And then this year's, or not last year, 2 years ago, right? And so for the taxes, you can write off a lot, but I chose purposely to just pay the taxes and not write off really anything, not even a home office or mileage or stuff like that, because I wanted to boost that up so that I can go and qualify for some more houses and get better lending, right? This year is a little bit different, right? This year I want to take a lot of the, write-offs and things of that nature to lower that tax bracket into something that's a little bit more attainable and kind of go from there. So it's a delicate game. I'm still pretty new to this tax game. It's fun and it's very interesting. I think it's going to take a couple years, maybe those 10,000 hours that we talked about to really understand it. But I'm learning bit by bit. But guys, we are at time. It's awesome seeing you, AJ. Dude, I can't wait to see you in person. Oh, on a complete side note, we're going to start doing some more events with the Acaba home team.
I love the investor meetup we had over the summer. I networked with you guys. I don't think Liban was there, but obviously I saw you. I met with Ricardo for the first time because we chat like all the time over the phone during that whole process. So it was really cool to be able to meet him in person. And I feel like it's tough to sometimes match a person that who they are like, on the internet or maybe over the phone with who they are in person. And what I can tell you is that like Ricardo, I felt like he was exactly what you thought. Like he's a cool guy. I like him, and but yeah, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to whatever you guys got set up this year. I want to be able to follow you guys, and join along in whatever conversations, learn, maybe teach some folks. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. We're all for all the above. We're actually planning to do at least 4 events this year. One of them with Ricardo. We got to figure that piece out. The other ones will be just a myriad of fun stuff to get together and kind of as a group, because we don't do that enough, right? COVID kind of stopped that, and then it sort of came back, and now we definitely want to be out there kind of having fun. And so looking forward to seeing you there, AJ. Liban, as always, it's been a pleasure, and I will catch you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Take
Catch
care.
you guys
Everyone.
next
See
week.
you guys.
Take